What's up, everybody, and welcome to the episode 23 of the Boss Key podcast. I am your co-host, McQuack306, and today is a very special episode for the week. Jesse is out for this week, for this episode. He has some stuff to do on his end, but as always, we never miss a week. We wanted to proceed, and I am joined today with a special guest. She's my fiance. Some of you guys may have heard of her online as Lady Quack. And yeah, welcome her to the show.
Hi, everyone.
So, really excited to do this one. This is actually our first recording of the year of 2022. All the last three episodes have been pre-recorded, like the first week of December. So we're done with the holidays. We're trying to get back into the groove of the new year. Try to move forward, especially with what's going on with the world and COVID. But special episode this week. This is going to be focused on Lady Quack. My best second half, and see how she got into gaming and her favorite games and stuff like that, and characters in gaming. So just a rundown, like how did you start, or how did you get into gaming to begin with?
I would say predominantly the list of games that I know are from my dad. I kind of owe all the things I know about gaming before you
Mm-hmm.
to my dad because I think he wanted a boy and was kind of surprised that like I was a girl
Yeah.
and he was obviously into electronics and like building computers and things like that. So yeah, he bought us a Sega Genesis, and I was like in love with that console. I thought it was like the best thing ever. I was like, oh my gosh, this is great. But yeah, I started off with the Sega Genesis, and like the games that I remember the most are Clay Fighters. I know we went on like a retro game hunt for that game, and when we finally found it, it was like, oh my god.
Yeah, it was like everybody would always ask us like, "Oh, Clay Fighters for the N64? Ooh, like we don't have that." And we're like, "No, no, no, Sega Genesis." And we even got like a couple. They were like, "They didn't make one for Sega Genesis." And I'm like, "Yes, they did."
I know. We had to correct some people a couple times, and I'm like, no, you can't tell me that I didn't play this game on the Sega Genesis because I had it for the like I had it. But yeah, that was one of them for sure. I mean, another one was Alex Kidd in the Enchanted Castle. I know my aunt would always come over during the summers, and we had a gaming console, and I don't think anybody else in my family really had one. So she would come over, and we would play Alex Kidd, Sonic the Hedgehog 2. Like, those were the main ones we would play. But I would always see her play Aladdin and The Lion King. And I was like, yeah, there's no way I'm going to ever beat this game because if she's having a hard time, then I'm going to have a hard time as a kid. So, yeah, I mean, we really played those, but yeah.
Yeah, Aladdin and Lion King were like notoriously just difficult. Like I remember having Aladdin, and I got to Jafar one time and died to him, and that was like the final boss. And I just gave up. I think I gave up after that point because I would not be able to get back up to that point. But I never played Lion King. I didn't have that one growing up. But I
Yeah.
remember you got excited. What was it, like 2 years ago when they announced?
That they were bringing it to the Switch? Yeah, I
Yeah,
know.
Aladdin, and
Yeah, but ask us how many times we've played since we bought that game.
that's true.
I don't think we've ever played
I
it.
played once, but
I've
that
never
one
have.
day when I got it for the Black Friday deal, I played it once and I was like, "Oh, this is so cool." There's so many different ones, and then it was like, "All
All
right,
right.
back to my Super Smash Brothers."
Yeah, like I know we recently kind of started going into our Sega Genesis collection,
Yeah,
and it's really based off of me, I feel. Like we really pushed it more so because of me,
yeah,
because you had a couple games. I think you only had
yeah. I had
Aladdin, right?
yeah. Growing up, I had the Sega Genesis was my first console, and that was like a hand me down. Basically, I had the Sega Genesis and a shoebox of maybe like I want to say 6 games. One of them being Sonic. I remember we talked about Road Rash. We
Mm-hmm.
both had Road Rash. growing up. That one was a good one
Yeah.
of violent racing game. One of my favorite games on that system. But yeah, mostly your side because I think you had more games or more access to those games.
Oh yeah. I mean, we went to a retro gaming shop and I found the, haunting starring Poltergeist,
Oh yeah,
and
I've never heard of that one.
you were so like, "What is this?" And I was losing my freaking mind at the store. I was like, "Oh my god, I can't believe this is here!" Like literally, a memory of my childhood was unlocked, and I hadn't felt that way in a really long time. And I was like trying to explain the game to you. I'm like, you're this guy, and you like go in a house and you like scare them, and like you're trying to get them to move out, and then you follow them to another house, and like it's literally the same thing over and over and over again. And yeah, we picked up that game, and I was like so excited to play it, and yeah, I mean, I played it like maybe 2 times, but
Yeah,
I weirdly enjoyed that game a lot because I
I love doing that. I love. We did that earlier this year, going down San Diego, and then we found a shop, and I'm looking at some. I'm looking at the 360 area. I'm looking at the PS3 classics, and she just comes to me from across the room and is like they got they got the game, they got the game. You couldn't even, I don't remember if you could even say it. I'm like, what game? And you showed me in the glass case, and I'm looking, I'm like, which one? And you're like, that one, that one, that one, The Haunting. And I'm like, I've never heard of that. But with me, with Sega Genesis, like I said, I only know like the main, you know, commercial success, like the Sonic games. Of course, I play Sonic, Contra, Road Rash. But you have like those very niche games, a very small, sold, but
yeah.
that was your childhood, and I loved that day because you were able to find a piece of your childhood. We brought it back home, cleaned up the Sega Genesis that I had, and it worked. And now we have it in our collection, and I know we've been still doing that. We got, what was the recent one, Bernstein Bears,
Oh
for
yeah,
like two
but
bucks.
I didn't have that in growing up. I just was like, oh, this is cute. Like
You
I
just saw the
I
label, right?
heavily judge games based off their covers. Like you know how they say like don't judge a book by its cover, but
Mm.
like I do. Like if it looks cool and it looks pretty, like I want to play it. Like I'm gonna play it. And I think we bought it because I was like, oh, this looks super cute. Let's buy it. Let's try it out. And then you beat it in like 5 minutes, and I'm like, okay, well, what do we do now?
It was 2 bucks, but you know what? That's how it was back then. We didn't have YouTube. We didn't have the internet. We just went off of the box art. We went off of like, oh, X-Men 2. This looks, I mean, we already like X-Men, but this box art looks really cool. Contra, this looks really cool. So that I think that was very normal back then. We just went off of the box art. It could have even been something that had no graphics because a lot of the times they didn't show the graphics. They just
Right.
showed art style or an artwork of, Wolverine and stuff. So,
Yeah, it's usually like things that you know about, like X Men. Like X Men 2 was one of those that I would watch the cartoon growing up, and so we had the game, and I'm like, well, duh. Like, why wouldn't I play it? But yeah, I kind of just really based a lot of the games I played on the Sega or any console really from the cover or like how it looked.
okay.
Yeah.
And what was you played more than just Sega, right? Your dad did,
Well,
he moved
well,
to something
yeah. I
else?
mean, so uh, he basically gave our Sega Genesis away to his brother who lived in another state, and it wasn't like a state like Nevada. No, it
Hmm.
was like a state like all the way on the other side, on the East Coast. Uh, and I was devastated. I was like, "Oh my god, my Sega Genesis is gone! Like, what am I gonna do?" And then he pulls up with like a PS1, and I'm like, "All right, like, I guess that's an even trade." But I think looking back, had I known now what I know, like, of course, I would have liked to have kept my childhood Sega Genesis,
Yeah.
just because like I still have my PS1, and I don't think I'll ever get rid of it, just because that's a part of when I grew up. And yeah, I mean, I love the PS1 too. I mean, for the most part, I really liked all the consoles that I had, but the Sega is like one of those top. I would say probably top two for me.
Oh, really?
Yeah.
Just because I mean, also because you started with that, so
Right.
you already have like that connection of like this is what started my gaming, experiences and the classics. To you, they're the
Yeah.
classics, and I remember still, like I said, the haunting. That one I never knew about until you, and now I see it, and it's a pretty good game. It's very unique, very unique for an EA game, which can't be said a lot today.
But yeah, so my dad bought the PS1, and I was like, oh, it's a C, like like a CD disc,
Yeah.
and it was weird, and I'm like, oh, okay, this is weird, and like sometimes. With the Sega, you would like blow on it, and you're not supposed to, I guess, but like you would still like blow really hard and like shove it in there, and like, okay, it works. So with the PS1, like I would be like, oh, like trying to blow on it, like trying to get the disc good,
Yeah.
and like you had to be really careful because they would scratch. And like me as a child, I wasn't the most careful kid in the world, so it was like, well, shit, if one like little scratch is big enough and deep enough, like it's gonna be unplayable.
Yeah.
So I learned that really early on, and yeah, I mean the games that I really played. I mean, I had a bunch of games for the PlayStation, but the ones that I remember kind of like playing the most was like Crash Bandicoot Warped, um, Spice World. I know you were like so weirded out that I had a Spice Girls game, and looking back at it too, it's like, okay, what the hell was that game really all about? Like, I have no idea, but I loved it because like you would just pick a Spice Girl to be, and then like you would like try to follow the dance moves, or like you would make dance moves. Honestly, it was really weird, but I loved it.
Well, I mean, it was a time also. Spice
Well,
Girls
I mean,
was like
yeah,
just huge. Like I even watched the movie and
and I love
was.
the movie. I do, but yeah, I mean, I had Simpsons wrestling. Yeah, the Mortal Kombat trilogy.
Oh yeah, because your favorite character Sub Zero, right?
No, sir, sir. Let's get that straight. No, my favorite character's always been
Yeah.
Scorpion. But like I liked Sub Zero too. I mean, I liked a lot of the characters from Mortal Kombat because we watched the movies, and um, I didn't really play the first one, but definitely the trilogy. That's what really got me into Mortal Kombat for sure. For
Okay.
sure, for sure. Um, and it's kind of weird because you wouldn't think I would like that game just because of like how graphic it was at the time, but
Well, also, I mean, pairing that you love Spice. What was it? Spice
Spice
World?
World. I mean, I, so a little background to me is like I'm very much the scaredy cat. I don't like scary movies. I don't like to be scared. Like I don't like things that are gory. But that was one of the games that I played, and like the haunting, that was one of those that
Yeah.
you would think would like freak me out. But weirdly, I like those games. But yeah, I mean, my dad had the Resident Evil games, which I never played.
Oh my God.
And I know when
I know when you showed them to me,
yeah.
I was like so hyped. I was like, "You got Resident Evil 2? You got Resident Evil 3? Black labels, and they have the manuals and everything." I was
Hmm.
like, "Okay, they took care of their games at least."
Well, I mean, because I never played those.
Yeah.
I
Yeah,
mean,
oh,
those
you know what? That makes sense because all the ones that you didn't touch, they're like
were pristine.
pristine.
Yeah, I
And I
know.
saw Spice World. I'm like, where's the manual? Why is this like
That shit was
chewed
scratched.
up? Yeah.
But like I know one that I mentioned to you and you were like, "What is that?" It was called Road Trip Vacation
Oh yeah.
2012, and you were like, "What is that?" And I'm like, I don't know how to explain it, but it's part of like that Twisted Metal. Like that's how I know that ice cream truck with the clown on top of it. Like that's how I know it. But that was another game that I played too. But yeah, I would say predominantly the most time I spent playing on a game for the PlayStation was Crash Bandicoot Warped. That's why when you showed me more, like when we first started hanging out again, was like that they
The
had them all.
trilogy.
Yeah, that they had them all. I was like, oh my god, like like another thing unlocked, like freaking Ratatouille over here. I had a moment. I went back in time. I'm like, oh my gosh, like this is something from my childhood again. So, a lot of the games that I like now, like I cherish them from my childhood. But yeah, those were definitely some of the games that I played. And I know I had like Digimon World, and you were like, you had this game? And I'm like, yeah, but the case is kind of gone and the manual's gone and it's just a
Yeah.
disc and it's just like laying out.
I was heartbroken. I was like, I see the disc, I don't see the box. What's cool is though, is it's weird that I I've always been associated with PlayStation, but I never had a PS1.
Wait, really?
Yeah, that's why I thought it was crazy when we started talking again, and you started showing me your PS1 collection and your PlayStation. I was like, oh my god, that's like really cool. But yeah, I never had one because at the time, like I said, I had N64 or the Sega Genesis, and then I got the N64 for my birthday, and that's the generation that I had was the
Right.
N64. But I had an aunt that I'd go over, and she had the PS1, so that's where I played my PS1. That's where I played Metal Gear Solid 1 for the first time. Crash Bandicoot as well. That's where I learned about that one, and some other games. But yeah, I didn't have a PS1, but it always resonated with me because of Metal Gear Solid 1.
Right. Yeah, and then we had the PS1 for like a while. And I had a Game Boy. I don't really remember playing the Game Boy that much. Like I maybe had one game. Uh
Horrible. No, just kidding.
until I got the Game Boy Color.
Oh, okay.
Yeah. And I had like really weird. I mean, I guess the weirdest game I had was Bugs Bunny, Crazy Castle.
I'm not even gonna try
Yeah,
to
I mean,
say I know that one because I
I
don't.
like that game, but I mean, I also had the Bart Simpson's Escape from Camp Deadly,
Mm-hmm.
and obviously, I have like this profound love for The Simpsons, and like
Yeah.
I can recite certain lines from
Episodes.
like season 3 to 9, but uh, yeah, I like that game for a bit, but that's not one of the ones that I would play all the time. The one I would play, which is probably the only Mario game I ever owned.
Boo. No.
I only ever owned was Super Mario Land. And I didn't even get that far. Like I think I got to like maybe the second level and I just could never pass the rest, or I never cared to.
Because Mario.
Yeah, I was just like, okay, well, whatever, I'll just start again. Or like if I felt like playing it, I would.
Yeah.
Um but yeah, I mean, I'm kind of like you. I don't really have like this, how would you say it? Towards Mario.
Like an affinity, like you don't have like if you were given two choices,
Mm-hmm.
you're most likely gonna go to the second choice than Mario.
Yeah, 100%.
Hey, do you want? But that's also different than what we're recently playing is Mario Party. We've been playing that
yeah.
every week, but for me,
Every weekend.
yeah, every weekend. For me, I can differentiate the two. Like, if someone asks me, "Hey, do you want to play Super Mario 64 or Super Smash Brothers?" Oh, Super Smash Brothers, or Mario Kart, or this. Oh, I'll go with Mario Kart.
Well, yeah, I think even now, I think if you were to give me like a list of characters to choose from, like for example with Mario Party, like we've been playing it, I probably still wouldn't pick Mario. I would probably pick like Toadette. Like, that's being honest.
Yeah, and it's weird that what's the character I picked?
Mario.
Yeah, I don't know why.
And I think that makes me hate it even more because you just kick my ass in that game all the time, and I try my absolute hardest.
I did it.
But I'm like, this damn Mario man.
Oh yeah, just FYI to the audience, I'm a 2-time champ in Mario Party with our small group that we play weekly. So,
yeah.
2-time champ.
Just who hasn't won any games? This guy. No, but I mean, yeah, Mario Land before you was the only Mario game that I had in any of the games that I had previously. But Pokemon Red and Blue, obviously. Like it was like, duh, why wouldn't you have those games? However, I never had yellow.
Ew.
I was that lame person that didn't have yellow. But I flexed my red and blue all the time.
Favorite Pokemon, just for everyone to know.
Ever?
Ever. What's just in general? It doesn't even have to be from Red and Blue. Just what's your favorite Pokemon now?
I mean, before it was Squirtle, just 'cause he's a turtle. Like I'm basic in that way of like, oh, they're cute and I like them. And I know you said yours is like Charizard, and I don't know, like I never really thought about it that way, but it was more so based off like the cartoons you see too.
Yeah.
But now I don't know, Litwick.
You like Litwick,
Yeah.
right? I remember as soon as you saw it on Pokemon Go, you're like, what's that? I'm like, Litwick. And you're like, I like it. I'm like, that's a ghost fire. And you're like, I don't care. I'm like, well, it turns into like a chandelier. You're like, even better.
Yeah, like chandelier, what? Or what's it called, like
Chandelier or something like that, yeah.
Oh my god, it's so cute. I love it. But yeah, so Pokemon Red and Blue. I mean, I beat both, but
and you had both of them.
Yeah, I had both, and I played the absolute most on those two games. Like, even going back, just playing it again over and over again, and I was like devastated when I couldn't play my red one anymore because
the battery.
Yeah, I mean, before you, I was just like, damn, this game just doesn't work anymore, and thankfully I didn't throw it away or it was like it's garbage now, but like I still held on to it because I try to keep things now, but yeah, when I met you, you were like, oh, well, it's probably just the battery. And I was like, it has a battery? Like, what? So I had no idea about that. But one of my goals, obviously, is just to fix it. Like, just to get it fixed.
Yeah,
or to fix it ourselves. Or
we can get it fixed. It's like $5 just for the battery. $5 in 10 minutes.
Yeah. I mean, I never had, like, the cables to, like, switch or, like, trade Pokemon. I was just, like, playing by myself. And I was very happy with that. But I had the Game Boy camera.
Yeah, something I didn't have. Yeah, thanks for
it was like my first like camera that I could take pictures off of like an electronics. So I thought I was the coolest person ever.
With the little printer paper?
Yeah. No, I never had the printer or the paper.
What?
I just had the damn camera. Yeah, I just had the camera. And like it had like little mini games from what I remember, but
yeah.
I mean, I literally would just take freaking selfies.
That was your first selfies?
Yeah, and it's so. I think I have mine still. It was the blue one, but I think I went back and I saw the picture and I was like, oh my god, what was I thinking? Like, what was I doing? But yeah, I mean, the Game Boy Color, I really didn't have that many games. I think it's probably one of the lowest with the PSP, but like. I'll kind of get into that one too. But yeah, after the PS1 and the Game Boy Color, my aunt's boyfriend at the time was getting rid of his Xbox, and like we would go over and I would see them playing the Xbox, and I was like, wow, that's cool. I hope we get an Xbox one day. And I don't remember why he was getting rid of it. I know it was for a different console or like the next gen or whatever.
Yeah.
But we ended up getting the Xbox that he had, and I was like, great, cool. Like I have an Xbox now. So I didn't really get to pick the games at first because it was whatever my aunt's boyfriend had at the time.
Yeah.
And one of those games was Grand Theft Auto Vice City, which I didn't really know about Grand Theft Auto before. But I was kind of like, ooh, what is this? And I know my mom did not like me playing it at all. Because she was like, what are you guys doing? Like, why do you have to do this? And why are you stealing cars? And why are you running over people? And I'm like, Mom, it's just a game. Like, gosh. But, like...
The police are after you. Yeah. Pull over.
Like, why did you pick up that lady? Don't worry about it, Mom.
Why is the car shaking all of a sudden? Why is your health up?
But, yeah, like, that was, one of those games that came with the console when we got it. And Halo was another one that, my dad obviously loved because my dad likes first-person shooter games, and he would play PC games all the time, and he had his own LAN parties and stuff like that, and
Damn.
They had shirts and everything. Like, it was a big deal in our household, but Yeah, he loved Halo. And that's how I kind of got into it, because like anytime we would have family over or whatever, or get together, we would play, and we would play against each other, and it was really fun. So I had a blast playing it. So I think when I see you play like Halo Infinite now, I kind of get those memories of like, oh, that's what my dad and like my uncles would play, and like I would try to get in, like, oh, I can play with the guys too, like count me in, guys. um but yeah, I had a that game, and I know one of the ones that you were like, what is this game about? It was Kung Fu Chaos, and I don't know if
Yeah.
anybody else has ever played it. I've never met anybody else who's played that game too, but I love it. Like in a really weird way. Like it's like a fighting game, but it's like 4 players, and you're fighting against each other, and like a guy's like making a movie, like
Yeah.
a D-list budget movie about it. And yeah, and it had like really weird characters, and it's like the most
It's like an
absurd like sayings.
it's like an obstacle course fighting game type because I
Yeah,
remember
and you would
playing.
like play for stars, so you wanted to get like 5 stars. Um, and like that was kind of one of the things that would push us to keep playing, was like, okay, we gotta get perfect on this. But yeah, that was another one. Like that was another game that we would play anytime we had people over, and I was like, you guys want to play? Because like my sister at the time was really little,
Yeah.
so she would always get the reject control.
Oh, the macro like Mad Cats.
Yeah.
The orange is peeling off the controller.
Like the thing wasn't even plugged in.
Yeah.
You know it. but yeah, I would love when people would come over, because that's when I felt like, okay, yeah, I can show off my skills now, because like I could flex on some people. But
I remember seeing that we played that game
yeah,
like when we first started talking, and
it was like riding a bicycle for me. I got right back into all my things, and like pulling out combos.
I looked at that cover. I'm like, I don't know about this. I've never heard about this. Where's my fusion frenzy? But we played it, and I actually had fun. I was like, okay, I'd never heard of Kung Fu Chaos, but this is really cool. This is really fun to play.
Yeah. You mentioned Fusion Frenzy, and that was another game that came with the Xbox when we got it, and I loved that game too. Like that was my fucking Mario Party right there.
Yeah.
Like that was really
Fusion Frenzy.
like I would always pick Zack. I don't
Yeah.
know why, maybe because it's yellow or something, but like that's my character to this day. I still pick that one just because I feel like I win sometimes with it, like especially with that like twisted like
That's your
what is it called? Oh, I can't remember it.
that's your what's it called, like mini game. It's like the all 4 players are starting at the same point, and it's kind of like a drill that's continually going down, and the characters are running up the drill, up the screw, and you have to either jump or duck down,
Mm-hmm.
so that you don't get hit, and you can only get hit a certain amount until you get thrown off.
Yeah, it was called Twisted System.
Twisted System, yeah, and I just can't beat you. I think I've only beaten you once.
I think once, and you rubbed it in my face so hard. I was just like, okay, you won one, sit down. Like, sit down. Like, it's not that serious. But
I haven't been able to beat you since.
But I absolutely love that one, because, like, I own that one.
Yes, you do.
All the other ones I'm, like, terrible at. But, like, the sumo one, it's pretty fun playing with you guys. But, yeah. I mean, the Twisted System one is, like, my shit.
Yeah, we
Weirdly.
played last night. I just could not. We did that one like
Mm-hmm.
maybe 5-6 times, and nothing. I know your sister beat you
She beat me
once,
like once
and
or
she
twice.
was like, okay, that's it.
Yeah, but I mean, but she also played with me all the time, so
Yeah.
she was really good at it too, and she knows like you literally cannot blink, like you have to stay on top of that all the time, which weirdly reminds me of like in Mario Party when we play a couple times we've gotten the fire jump rope, and it reminds me of that one a lot. However, I struggle more with that one than the Twisted System. Like I think the Twisted System for me is easier to play, and like for me visually,
Even though it requires more buttons.
Yeah, even though it requires more buttons and you like literally like you can get thrown off in a second and you're
Yeah.
done. Like it's just over. But yeah, Fusion Frenzy was the shit and still is the shit. So I really like that game growing up. Um, I mean, I want to say the most games I had were from the Xbox. Like I think we had that one the absolute longest.
Mm.
Uh, I had Outrun 2, which is just like a basically kind of like a racing game, but you're racing against the clock and you collect these you collect these hearts, and there's like different games you could do, and like there's this lady who is in the car with you and she's like cheering you on when you're doing really well, but then like if you lose she gets like pissed off and starts hitting you and like kind of choking you. I really liked that game. It was kind of fun, like one of just those little racing games. But uh another one, I mean, we've talked about Simpsons Hit and Run, you know.
Yeah.
I mean,
That's a
classic,
classic, instant
hello.
classic.
But like another Mario Party esque game was the SpongeBob SquarePants like camera. I love that game. My sister loves that game too. Like as weird as it is, it was one of those like games that my dad picked up because it was fucking cheap.
Yeah.
And he was like, "All right, new game," and obviously we were not gonna complain about it. We're like, "Okay, new game, let's play it." But, yeah, I love that game too. Shrek Super Party. I know
You
we've
really like a
no,
lot of
I
the
do.
party
I know
games.
I do. I like
Which
playing
is
with
good,
other
yeah,
people.
which is
I mean,
good.
yeah, I love playing with other people. I mean, you know, I'm competitive as
Yeah.
shit, so like me
Oh,
and you
yeah.
go ham on some games, and you know my sister's competitive too, so
Hmm.
um
Yeah, y'all cheer when you guys finally beat me in a mini game, but when I win, you're like, all right, settle down.
rightfully so. No, I'm just kidding. But yeah, Shrek Super Party is one of those two that me and my sister played all the time. And like, I know when you first played with us, like we didn't want to tell you shit. We didn't want you
Yeah,
to
that was my
win.
handicap.
Yeah, we didn't want you to win at all. And I'm like, no, yeah, you want to get that shoe. You want to go to the evil bog.
Yeah, you want to
Yeah.
get the ball, and then when I would go, yeah, the ball. I'm like, what's going
I'm like, yeah, you
on?
can give me all those blue bugs. It's okay. I'll win. But yeah, that's another one that I would play all the time, like literally all the time. And then the last one that I like vividly remember playing, and we went on some crazy hunt for it,
Yeah.
was The Nightmare Before Christmas, Oogie's Revenge. And like, we went to a maybe it was a game shop somewhere in the OC,
Oh
right?
yeah.
And we saw like this bootleg cover for one, and I'm
Mhm.
like, oh my god, I had that game. And you were
That's what
like,
started it.
yeah, and you were like, yeah, okay. And like I felt like you heard me, but like and I was like, no, I still have it somewhere. Like I know I have it. Like there's no way we got rid of that game. And you're like, okay, and you're like, let's see how much it is, and you're like, oh damn, I didn't know, it wasn't
I
like a
think it
super
was, yeah, I
cheap
think it was
game.
like $60 or $70, and I was like, well, why?
And it had like a bootleg,
It was, yeah, it was like
like
printed like,
printed cover, like it
yeah.
was sun damaged and everything. And I'm like, dude, no, I have the game, I have the cover, I have everything. And I was telling my sister about it, and I'm like, dude, we saw the game, like we gotta find it. Like, where is it? She's like, I don't know. So we both went on this like crazy hunt for that game, and she miraculously found the game and a bunch of other games that I didn't know we had. But yeah.
I remember that night I was playing Xbox and Xbox One, and you brought in this big box
Mm-hmm.
of Xbox stuff, OG Xbox,
Yeah.
and you're like, we haven't found the game, but we found everything else, and it was like sealed copies of Half-Life.
Oh yeah.
I found Halo 1, 2,
Mm-hmm.
your Vice City,
Mm-hmm.
Grand Theft Auto, a
San
bunch,
Andreas.
San Andreas, Dark Watch.
Oh, I love Dark Watch.
Yeah, which I hadn't
I
played
know.
until then, and but that cover, like we spoke about earlier,
Mm-hmm.
that cover was like, you go off of what you see, and it looks so good. It looked really cool,
It is good and
and we played multiple times, us and your sister, multiplayer. And as soon as I got it,
I know. I was like,
oh cool, I know where it's Silver Bullet. Like,
mm-hmm.
oh, I know how to play this. All right, let's keep going. Let's 2-on-1.
Yeah. I mean, the story part of the game Dark Watch, I weirdly like too, because you would think, like, obviously I wouldn't like anything like that. Um, which I guess maybe, I know you have asked me before, like, would I play the Resident Evil games? I'm like, no. Not because, like, I don't like them. I'm probably too scared to play them.
Hmm.
But um, maybe if they're anything like Dark Watch or in that realm, probably. But I really like the style of Dark Watch. I like that he was like the cowboy and like that kind of like, I don't know. It was just really cool and like badass to see,
Yeah, no, I get it.
and it reminded me too of like when I was when I was in elementary school, and at the time, like obviously we mentioned that Spice Girls was a really big thing, and all the girls were dressed as, different Spice Girls or princesses or whatever. And my mom took me to Party City, and I looked at one of the costumes, and she's like, "Okay, well, which one do you want to be?" And I'm like, "Soul Taker. Like, I want to be that one, the Soul Taker." And it was like this, like black suit, purple skull vest, a little hat, like it just looked like nothing I would pick. And she was like, "Are you sure you want to be that one?" I'm like, "Yes. Like I want to look so cool and like I want to look badass." And yeah, I went to school like that. So I think like that kind of reminds me of that style that I like, of like that cowboy esque kind of like dark vampire. I don't know.
Like almost sci-fi horror type.
Yeah, I mean it. I know you haven't played the whole thing. I know we've played it, but like that was one of the games I beat on the Xbox because I really enjoyed it. It
Mm-hmm.
was one of those that me and my dad would like. He would play a little bit, or I would play, and then he liked watching me play that game, and was like, "Oh no, like helping me out. Like you should do this and you should do that." So that was definitely one of them that sticks out there. But I mean, after the Xbox, I can go into like the other ones, but in that in between time of like another console or the Xbox,
Mm.
I mean, I mentioned my dad was a PC gamer, and well, obviously that made me become like kind of a PC gamer, but in a really different way. Like I wouldn't say I was playing like Doom or
Or Counter Strike or anything like
yeah,
that.
like my dad was playing Doom, but
Mm-hmm.
I definitely wasn't. But uh yeah, on the weekends he would have me playing like math games, and I'm like, ugh. Like, why? Who wants to learn
Math
more?
Blaster.
Ugh. But that also got me into playing like Sims, and I really like Sims, and I would spend hours on hours playing Sims.
Just customizing your character, it would be
Like,
like 2 hours, 3 hours
like
later.
I literally spend like 3 hours trying to make a whole family, and then like another freaking 5 hours customizing the house and like putting cheat codes. And I played Sims 1, 2, 3, 4. Like I literally played each one as they came out, and I love them. And I still do to this day. I just don't play as much just because
Yeah.
it's different when you're a kid and a teen, and just you have more time. But I played those PC, and then Need for Speed Underground, which I know we've talked about too. You played it on a different console, but I played it PC. I had 1 and 2. I know you like one more,
Yeah.
and I like both. Like I know you're like, ugh, 2 is kind of like, ugh. And I'm like, no, like I liked it because you could drive around the city and like go to different spots and then like race some fools, but
Race some
yeah,
fools.
race some
Yeah,
fools.
Jesse and I had this conversation about hub worlds or like open worlds
Hmm.
or just menu pick a race and you go and I told him if it's on certain games, but for me like Need for Speed, I think we talked about Need for Speed Underground. I prefer Underground 1 more than 2 because at that time I just wanted to get to the race so I can pick my races afterwards, get my money, upgrade my car
Hmm.
or customize my car. And also the soundtrack for me was way better on the first
Yeah,
one than the second one. But I still like the second one. The second one is still really good and probably better than a lot of racing games today.
yeah. I mean, Need for Speed Underground 1 is like iconic. Like just the brum, and I know you guys have talked about it too on the podcast, but like
Wait,
it's
how did
just
that go?
no. I knew you were gonna ask that, but I mean, it's just one of those games that like to this day, it's still a good racing game. You know.
Yeah.
Um, and then I had Grand Theft Auto 3 on PC. And I played that a little bit, but then like another game that I would play all the time was Roller Coaster Tycoon 2, and I would spend hours too on that. Like, I was so weird with that game too because like I would purposely build roller coasters just to make like the guests or the visitors of the park like throw up or die.
Die.
Yeah. So like I would
I don't like
part
creepy things. I don't like horror
know.
movies, games, and stuff like that. But I'll make roller coasters to kill.
No. Like I would purposely like not finish building a ride and then I'd be like, okay, it's open, and then like they would get on the ride and they would go like shooting up in the air and just explode. I'm like, oh
Okay,
no.
Final
I
Destination.
know. It's kind of weird thinking about that I would do that, but like I love that game. Like I would spend I mean, I really could have been a roller coaster tycoon now, just from the experience that I have. Like, I'll put that on my resume. Like, took care of multiple amusement parks at the same time. Like, yeah,
I remember you
I
got
own that
excited
game.
when I told you that, oh, I can buy it on Steam for like
Oh, I
three
know.
bucks and it comes with everything, and you were like hooked on that for at
Oh,
least a week. At least a week, like
yeah.
every day you were like, oh,
I gotta check up on my
yeah.
on my theme parks.
Oh, my guests are happy.
I gotta add some more lemonade stands. They're
Yeah.
thirsty. And I'm like, oh man, these fucking people are leaving trash in my park. Like, there's trash cans right there. Like, just throw it in the trash. But yeah, I absolutely love that game, and I mean, for the most part, those were really the games that I would play PC, and I think I'd like to get back into PC gaming. I haven't really, except for like maybe Sims a couple times, and then like
And
when you
the
in the
roller
Tycoon,
coaster.
yeah. But I think I'd like to get back into PC gaming because it was fun, and I feel like it's a lot easier for me to understand playing
Yeah.
just because the controllers are like, I don't know, I feel like it's better spaced out as
It's
opposed
a
to
better layout for you
yeah.
than a cramped controller in one hand.
Yeah, yeah, yeah. But yeah, I had a PSP growing up.
Yeah, tell us about the PSP.
I mean, I had, from what I remember, I had like Ape Escape, Grand Theft Auto Vice City Stories. I had Need for Speed Underground Rivals.
I love that one too.
Yeah, I mean that was a good one too. But for the most part, my PSP was not really used for games. It was more so for like the movies that I could play on there.
That's why there's so many movies that you guys have.
Yeah. So weirdly have like a bunch of PSP movies, and some of them are still sealed, and I'm like, I
Yeah.
never even watched them. I know you kind of freaked out. You have Spider-Man 2, and I was like, yeah, I guess.
I'm like, yeah, I'm taking this.
But I mean, yeah, it was mostly like I used it for movies, music, and pictures, and I think at the time too, you could go on the internet with it.
Yeah, a little bit of it.
Yeah,
Yeah.
but I mean, I didn't really use it for gaming at all. Like, I maybe played 20 times.
And you still have it, right? I think we
Yeah.
found it.
Yeah. I still have it. And I think when we looked, I still had pictures on there. Like, unlocking a freaking time box in there.
Yeah.
But, yeah, I mean, after the PSP, it was kind of like an area where we just didn't really have anything.
Mm-hmm.
And then randomly one time, my dad just showed up with a Wii, and I was like, "Oh, what's this?"
Especially at that time, because the Wii was very difficult to find.
Yeah. I mean, I think my dad was always kind of into like anything electronic or like
He still
gaming,
kind of
computer.
is.
Yeah, he still is. I mean, my dad would go to Fry's and Circuit City, and he didn't used to go to Best Buy all the time because he was like,
Yeah, he had a select
he had
store.
his. I mean, it was usually Fry's or Circuit City. Um, but yeah, he just kind of showed up with that one day, and I was like, well, I'm not complaining.
Yeah.
I mean, but the first couple games we had were like Wii Sports and Wii Play, and I'm like, okay, is this it? And we didn't have like an array of games for that console either. I mean, we had. You looked at me weirdly when I mentioned it to you. We had Ninja Bread Man, and we only had that because of
Yeah.
my sister, because she has like an obsession with gingerbreads. But the game that was like really big on there was Guitar Hero, and we didn't have the original one. And I know in high school, you remember that cafe that they had,
Yeah, and
and
Cafe de Chez or something like that.
yeah, and so they had like Guitar Hero there during lunch, and I would like, oh man, I want to be so good at that game, but I'm totally not at all, and I'm not even gonna try to play it at school just so I can get like made fun of for not knowing how to play or just sucking at it. But we had Guitar Hero World Tour, and then we had Rock Band. And if you ask me, I prefer Rock Band over Guitar Hero all day, every day,
Blasphemy. Nah, just kidding.
any day.
Why? Because of all the instruments or the playlist?
I I liked the fact that you could play with. I mean, I had a friggin' drum set, I had a mic stand,
Look at
I had a
you.
drum stool, I had a mic, I had the guitars.
You had it
You
all.
couldn't tell me I wasn't in a rock band at all. But I mean, I liked the songs too, because a lot of the songs I knew from that game were songs that my dad would play. Like he liked a lot of heavy metal and like just different rock and kind of different genres. But uh, and then we had the Beatles rock band too, which obviously I love the Beatles. And yeah, I mean I would go freaking ham on that game. Like you couldn't tell me I wasn't like some Tenacious D Pick of
Oh my
Destiny
god.
right there. Like I'm telling you, I would go so hard on that game. And me and my sister would like customize our character, pink bobs, like Ray Bans, fedoras, the whole nine. Like we went out on that game. But yeah, and that was really the last console that my dad bought. And after that, I just kind of like fell out of it. Like I didn't really play as much, and
Mm-hmm.
it wasn't like we had a lot of people coming over to play, and people obviously getting older or whatever. um yeah, and I would have never considered myself a gamer growing up. Even though
Even
all
though you
that long
had.
list of consoles that I had, I never would have thought of myself as a gamer. I don't know why, until we reconnected. And in high school, we didn't, I mean, we knew each other in high school, but we never talked about video games. We talked about music, but
Mm,
never video games. And it wasn't until we reconnected that you were like, "Oh yeah, that you play on this and that." I'm like, "Well, damn, that's a he's a gamer. Like he's really a gamer at
yeah.
heart."
Yeah, I mentioned it to you before and also on the podcast that we didn't bring up video games in high school because I drifted away from video games at that time. That's the time that I was kind of like, no, I'm gonna be doing basketball. No, I'm on the track and field team. No, I'm doing, I'm now working at age 16 and don't really have that much time and stuff like that. And it wasn't until I got into college that's after high school when I started reconnecting and hey, what console do I want? Oh, you know what? I want an Xbox 360. That looks. I saw Gears of War and I had an Xbox and let's play this and that's where I continued. But yeah, remember you didn't consider yourself as a gamer.
Mm-hmm.
You didn't see that mindset, but when you look back and you kind of like see, well, I had a Sega Genesis and I played this and that and this and PlayStation. I spent this amount of hours. A PC, this amount of hours, and yeah, you kind of start thinking you're like, yeah, you know what? maybe not in the hardcore sense of like I can tell you Diablo 1, I can tell you, you know, Gears of War lore and stuff like that, but you had that specific, you know, those specific games that you played that you could say, "Oh yeah, I know everything about that game. I know how to make the best roller coaster in Roller Coaster Tycoon 2 and stuff like that." But that's you. That's you have
Yeah.
your special, you know, corner of gaming that you like and you can go back to.
Yeah, I would definitely say the I would never consider the games that I had traditional, like the in the sense of popularity. I didn't know at the time that, people really like Dark Watch. I thought it was like, well, I'm the only one who has Dark Watch,
Yeah.
Like, I'd never thought of it like, oh, I wonder what other people think of this game. And, like, I wonder who is helping me through this. Like, no. It was really just trying to get through it based off, failure and then retrying. And, yeah, I wouldn't have considered myself a gamer. And then when we reconnected, we were talking about games, and you're like, oh, what did you have growing up? And I'm like, told you the whole 9 yards, and you were like, dude, you're a gamer. And I
Yeah.
was like, no, I'm not. And you're like, yeah, you are. And I thought about it, and I'm like, well, shoot, you're right. I mean, and there's nothing wrong with it. I
Yeah.
totally own it now, and I wish I would have been more vocal about it in the past, but I just never really thought about it before until we reconnected. So it was kind of like, oh yeah, I had this. Oh yeah, and I had this. I played this and I played that, and you're like, okay, you had a lot of different consoles and different games. Like, dude, you're totally a gamer. So, um, yeah, and it wasn't until you kind of introduced me into, well, the way you introduced it was, hey, I know you like these old timey cartoons like Betty Boop, and like I think you would like this game. It kind of has that art style. We should play it. It's co-op. We should totally
Yeah.
play it. And having been like, I don't know how many years since I played a game, I was kind of intimidated. I'm like, here's this guy who plays games, and I haven't played a game in a long time. I'm obviously gonna be terrible at it.
Mm.
But you showed me a little bit of it, and I'm like, oh, they're cute. Like, and I think most of you guys would know, or most of you all would know what game we're talking about. But it, Cuphead was one of those games that got me back into gaming. Um, it was one of those that it caught my attention, obviously because of the colors and like the art style and the characters. They're so cute, but how difficult the game was too got
Hmm.
my attention.
You like that challenge.
Yeah, I mean, being the competitor that I am sometimes, uh, I almost prefer harder games than really easy ones. Um, and I mean, the easy ones can be cool too. No shame to easy games, but but I like the difficulty of Cuphead. And when we first played that first one, that I think
The
it's a
flower.
well, I think first is the running gun, right?
Oh yeah.
Yeah. I was like, what the hell is this? Like, how is anybody supposed to get through this? And, we got through it, and then we got to the first boss, and then, the second, and then, we were on this, like, path of, like, trying to finish this game.
Hmm.
Did you finish it before me, or?
No, so for me, I got to the second level,
Mm.
to the second island, but then I was just kind of like, you know, I always bounce. You seen me?
Yeah.
I bounce around, from games, and so I just never went back to it. But when we started reconnecting again and talking, I was like, "What's a game that we both can get into?" And we talked about how we both love old cartoons
Mm-hmm.
and that art style. And I showed you a trailer. I love trailers. I showed you a trailer, and you were like, "You have that game?" I'm like, "Yeah, I have it. I have it on the Switch. Let's play." And I think it started one night that we just, hey, you know, I came over your place
Mm-hmm.
after work and put it on, and from there, I think it was one summer, the 2019,
Yeah.
where We beat it. I think it took us 2 months. I want to say 2 months. Not always playing every day, but like, oh, let's play today, or let's try, in a couple
I
days.
want to say it was like, it was pretty often.
Yeah.
Because I think you and I both collectively got hooked,
Hmm.
and we're like, no, we're gonna freaking beat this game. Like, there's no way we're not gonna beat it. Um, and yeah, like I was hooked. Like,
But you wanted everything Cuphead too at the time, because we
I
started
still
buying.
do. Don't
We
like I
started
still
buying
do. What do you mean?
the blind box minifigures where
Oh yeah,
we made
I think we
into
found them at like.
ornaments.
Oh, you're right.
Yeah, we made them into ornaments, but that year, but we found them at Target, and we
Mm-hmm.
slowly like started not seeing them anymore. And I
I
told you,
know.
well, Cuphead's kind of older now, so they're pushing out the toys away. But we were able to find so many. I think we bought, I want to say, maybe 20 blind boxes.
Well, we found like a whole. I don't want to say
Box.
carton, but like
Yeah.
kind of like a whole carton of like blind boxes,
Mm.
and I was like, oh no, I have to buy them all. Like I don't even care if they're all the same. Like I had to because that's how much I absolutely love them, and we have them all, right? And
Besides the,
yeah,
like the
I
rare
think.
exclusive, the moon,
And
we
we don't
never got.
have the dragon either.
Yeah.
But I mean, we have a really good set, and I mean, yeah, we had them on our Christmas tree and everything. So I love those things right
Those
there.
pop figures.
Oh, I know. But yeah, I mean, I like the difficulty of Cuphead, and then that kind of got me. I mean, once we beat Cuphead, which
Hmm.
we'll kind of like talk about later too, was um I was kind of on this high of like, okay, we beat it, like, and we did it as a team, which
Yeah.
I really liked because I mean, you really carried the weight of our
Nah.
group, but but um I learned about like parry. Like, what is a parry? I never knew what the hell a parry was before, and you were
Matthew
like,
Perry?
yeah, okay, okay.
I'm just kidding.
But like, I didn't know that before playing Cuphead.
Hmm.
And so like, and learning patterns of like
Yeah.
games, although some of them are not like they have patterns, but they
Mm.
go differently or randomly. That kind of reintroduced that to me again of like a pattern of a boss.
That's why I told you a while back that um, I think you would do very well with Dark Souls. I know Dark Souls is very intimidating, because it's not just a 2D, game like Cuphead. Cuphead, it's more like three-dimensional open world type of
Mhm.
thing, but it has the same gameplay in terms of knowing the enemy. If you see the enemy lift up its sword,
Mhm.
he's gonna swing it a certain way, so to dodge right, or dodge, or even parry with your shield.
Right.
Um, you like those type of games, but even I think more specifically like the 2D games,
Yeah,
which
100%.
you got into
Hollow Knight.
Hollow Knight,
Yeah.
which was a Metroidvania type style game. You didn't know what Metroidvania was.
Well, I mean, I judged that one by its cover too. Like, don't get me wrong. I saw it and I'm like, ooh, what's that all
Cute
about? Yeah,
character.
cute character. Like, what's that all about? And you told me, well, it's kind of like a hard game. And I'm like, even better. Like,
Yeah.
what makes it hard? And so that kind of like caught my interest too. And yeah, Hollow Knight. I mean, gosh, I think played that well, no, Animal Crossing is one of those that I
Yeah,
played the
Animal Crossing, I think
most,
you have the
but
most.
um yeah, I mean, I played Hollow Knight and I still play it sometimes, but Hollow Knight is one of those that like I would probably say is my favorite game of all time. Like, really. Uh and not only is the character super cute, but the cuteness factor is through the roof, but I loved the art style too. Like, I don't know, I think it's just so calm. Like, the music is calming,
Mhm.
the colors, everything about it. I like that there wasn't talking. Like, it was straightforward. Here's what you can do with this and this. Roam around and figure it out. I
Yeah.
love that. Like, if you give me space to roam, I'm gonna roam. Um, So I really like that about that game, and it was pretty difficult for me because I didn't have you to help me out
Hmm.
in the sense of like, oh, we're a team playing a game, right?
This was all on your own now. This
Yeah,
was like.
it was kind of like, okay, you've graduated a little bit now, play on your own. um, but yeah, Hollow Knight is just a really fun game that I enjoyed playing, and I haven't fully beaten it. Okay, like I'm right there. I'm at the final
You have
boss.
everything. You have
I
like all the
mean,
charms or medals that
mhm,
they call it, and you've beaten every side boss. You just want to get the full ending, right? You
mhm.
so that's why you haven't completed the boss because you
Yeah,
need to do something.
I mean, spoiler alert if you haven't played it, but they have two endings, right? You can have like the ending from the first boss, which you think is the final one,
Hmm.
and then like there's a whole nother boss, and that one's like 100 times harder for me at least, just because I freak out. Like I'm so excited and I want to beat it, but then I psych myself out and I'm like, oh no, and like I start panicking and I
Hmm.
push the wrong buttons and like obviously like it ends up costing me, but yeah, that's a game that I'm like, it's on my list to finish, and it's literally
You're
that
there,
last
yeah.
last fight. Um, but yeah, I mean, I really love that game. Like, and I talk to people like Hollow Knight. Like, I'm shamelessly plugging, like Hollow Knight. You should play Hollow Knight. If that's your kind of game, you should play it. I even try to get my sister into it, but like, I really love that game. Like, I really love it. Like, it holds a special place in my heart.
Yeah, and you have the collector's edition that you
Yeah, that I
received.
was gifted.
Yeah.
Yeah, and I mean, one of the best gifts too was just like getting that. I was like, whoa, I don't have this,
Hmm.
and I wish I would have gone into gaming a little bit earlier too, like because with Cuphead and Hollow Knight, like I obviously want merch from the games, and finding just those little Cuphead things was hard, and when I wanted to find more, it was like, oh, damn, I have to buy it off people on eBay and
Yeah.
stuff, but um or like just get things from Etsy of like people that
Hmm.
make Hollow Knight stuff. But yeah, I love those two games, but definitely love Hollow Knight 100%. And then the other game that I kind of got into was Animal Crossing, which carried me through the pandemic 100%.
Yeah.
But I mean, I put hours into that.
You put hours.
I yeah, I mean, I'm not ashamed of it. I'm proud of it.
Oh,
Whatever.
now you
Yeah,
are
I'm
now.
proud. I'm proud.
What's funny too is that the other two games that we were talking about, Cuphead and Hollow Knight, we're waiting on DLC
I've been
that
waiting.
they've announced like a long time ago. But Cuphead, I think the DLC comes out this June. I know it comes out this year. They've already given a date finally. As you roll your eyes, and what's the other one? Cherry? Oh no, it's by Cherry, Team Cherry, or something like that for Hollow
Uh-huh.
Knight. But what's the Silk
Silk
Song?
Song, yeah.
Yeah, we're still waiting on that one. I think they announced it like 3 years ago.
Yeah. I'm patiently waiting. Patiently. But yeah, I mean the next game that I got into was Animal Crossing, and I played a lot. And then I haven't really got into any other games, like except for like Mario Party, which we play, or Mario Kart. Like I didn't really get to fully play those until we
Yeah,
reconnected, and like Smash Bros, which I'm terrible at. But
and Rocket League.
oh yeah, well, I mean, there was a period of time where you got me into Rocket League, and
Mhm.
I was putting my hours in, and I thought I was really good
With
until
your
with
truck.
our but we played a game semi recently with some of my coworkers, and they
I got slaughtered.
yeah, I mean, like first minute of that game, I was like, yeah, we're done.
The first
We're
thing
done
I said
though.
was like, "Let me catch you guys in Infinite, Halo Infinite, because this ain't my
And
game."
I totally told them that, and they're like, yeah, yeah, whatever. But I mean, they still roast me to this day about it. Like, they'll literally text me and be like, So how about a round of Rocket League? I'm like, you know what? You just want an easy game to play. Get out of here. But yeah, I mean, I would say that's mostly like all the games that I've really played or gotten into recently.
There is a game that you haven't mentioned that I know you love,
Which
but you
one?
never played.
Which one?
The Last
Oh,
of Us.
shoot.
Yeah.
Yeah. Okay, but see, but I don't consider me playing
No.
because I didn't play it. But uh yeah, you started, I mean, you were all hyped for The Last of Us Part 2 and I was like, okay, whatever. I
Hmm.
had no idea about that game. And you're like, "Oh, I'm so psyched. I can't wait to play it." And you were going to stay up to play it, and I'm like, "Okay." Um and I think it was like a couple times you were playing and I was just kind of sitting on the couch and just like watching you play. I was like, this seems like a pretty good storyline.
Yeah.
What is this all about? Um, and yeah, I mean, I was hooked on that game
You
too,
got
just
invested
watching
real
it.
quick.
Yeah, like, and that was the first time that I ever sat through somebody playing a game because normally I don't have the attention span to just like sit there and watch someone play. Like I get fidgety, so I want to move
Yeah.
around and like I need to get up and stuff, but uh yeah, watching you play that was like watching a movie and I was like bested. I was like, no, keep playing, keep going. Like it would get super late and we'd have all the lights turned off and like our red lights around the TV and stuff and
Hmm.
like I was like, no, keep going. But that was another game that I just didn't think that I would like, but I mean, we were invested. I mean, we had my sister over a couple times too, and she would watch with
I would
us,
wait. I would wait to
and
play just so that
it
she
was
can
like yeah,
come over.
it was like watching an episode. Like it was crazy, but I never had seen you play the first one,
Hmm.
and then you like showed me like the games, and then my sister ended up playing that game, but um yeah, I mean, I really got introduced to the those games through the second one.
Yeah.
So I knew about like Joel and Ellie and the relationship that they built. But like when certain things happened in the second one, I wasn't so deeply impacted just because I didn't feel the growing up with them like you might have.
Yeah.
So I was kind of like, "Oh, okay." um and once you started playing more and more and more, and I think you get to a certain point where you play, you know, I don't know if this is a spoiler at this point, but
As Abby.
yeah, as Abby, as you play as Abby, I was like, fuck, I don't want to see you play as her. Like, I was pissed.
Hmm.
I was like, this is so stupid. Why would you play as that character? Like, this makes no sense.
Oh wait, and for spoiler, alert, we're gonna try to keep it as spoiler because we know some people are still playing.
Right.
But
So
proceed.
I'll be very vague in that sense, but like, um, yeah, you play as the character, and I was just angry. I was just like, ugh, I didn't even want to pay attention. I was just like on my phone,
Yeah, you
like not paying attention, and just like ugh, whatever. Like he'll, I don't know how long he's gonna have to play as this person, but just get through it. Like I don't, I don't care how you get through it, but just get through it. And then like slowly but surely, you start to see certain things, and then you connect with that character. And I was like, damn, I'm kind of catching some feelings for her. I'm starting to invest in her storyline. And yeah, I mean, I got to a point where I was just like, I don't know who I like more.
hmm
And I was really torn. And I mean, at the end of the game, I was just like, best game ever made. Best game ever fucking made. And I'll say it now loud and proud. But I really feel it's one of the best games ever made. Like storyline, action, like just everything. Like I felt like they took me on a roller coaster ride, played with my fucking emotions, and then like grabbed me again and said, "Don't worry, like you're gonna be okay." But yeah, I mean, I know there was a lot of like I don't want to say controversy on that game, but like, I mean, we still hear to this day, like, we'll go into game shops and like we'll talk about different games, and someone will mention The Last of Us Part Two, and they either like it or they don't,
Yeah.
and like an alarm goes off in our mind, like, boop, 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 like, what are they talking about? Like, how can we insert our opinion in there? But, um, yeah, I mean, I really love that game, like, to this day.
To this day.
Yeah, I really love that game, and I will. I mean, I understand why some might not like it. Like, I get it, but at the same time, I don't.
Because
Like,
you loved it that much.
yeah, I
It
really
impacted
did.
you that much in terms of like, here I am watching, you know, my boyfriend at the time
Yeah.
play this game, and I don't watch him play video games like that. I don't get invested into the characters he's playing, and here you are like, oh wait, hold on for my sister, she's coming over so we can watch you play. It's like
Right.
it became that thing like, hey, well, I'm gonna come home, we're gonna eat, yeah, I'm gonna play The Last of Us Part Two, and you guys got hyped. You guys were invested.
We're
In,
literally like
to your
yelling.
left, to your left, to your
Yeah.
left. Oh, what's over there? Check over there.
We're like,
And
what's behind you?
yeah,
But yeah, we were totally invested in that game, and I don't know if not having played the first one impacted my feelings on the second one, because I didn't have like the certain connections. But I mean, even after seeing my sister play the first one, I'm like, well, I mean, at the end of the day, it's kind of like a show. When you watch a show and you're invested into it and you see how certain things happen, maybe you don't always agree with them, but like, come on. I mean, I don't think there's another game that has done that. I mean, you can correct me. I don't know. I'm not an expert at all. But like,
I'm an expert, and no other game has ever done that before ever again. Thank you. No, just...
But like, to be playing as one and then playing as another and just completely like just not liking the character, and then like catching feelings, but like totally being invested into another character storyline that you absolutely just did not like. And if you can change my emotions on a character, come on, like, how many times does that really happen? And successfully, like, I genuinely hated that person, and at the end I loved her.
Yeah.
Like, I loved the character, and I so much so that I was like, come on, like, I was giving you examples. I'm like, you take this character and you follow their storyline, but you know, like, if you would have, you know, followed this character storyline from the beginning, you would have loved them from the start. And I think that's part of why, not that I get angry when people are like, ugh, The Last of Us Part 2 was the worst game ever. And I'm like, hold on there.
And then when we asked, did you play it? No, I didn't play it.
Oh, I know,
and it's like, then how do you
grinds
know?
my gears. But yeah, no. I mean, I don't agree with it. I just don't agree with it. I mean, I know we're all entitled to our opinions, but I think when it won Game of the Year, I was like, rightfully so, rightfully so. I was so happy about it. But yeah, I love that game. And I know, I mean, I tried to watch you play other games.
Yeah. You weren't connecting with Ghost of Tsushima.
No.
And I think that's why I fell off too.
It was boring. It was boring.
Yeah.
As a person watching someone play it, it was pretty damn boring to me. You said it was fun playing it, which I was like, go for it.
Fun.
Go for it. But it just was boring. And I know I watched you play Death Stranding, which I was kind of into. And then I know you kind of like switched off and didn't really like play it, and then you kind of got back into it, and I was trying to get back invested in it, but like nothing's really caught my attention like The Last of Us Part 2. Like, I'm telling you, like, that was like, wow. I didn't know games could be like this.
Yeah.
Like, good gameplay, but also good story, and like good characters, character development.
I tried making it play through like a movie. I wanted to make it like,
okay.
Don't die, Josh. Don't die, Josh.
But like, yeah, we were invested in you and
Mm.
like how you survived in that, and like we were trying to help you out and like trying to give you pointers and like, yeah, we were all about that game, and I still am to this day. But I mean, I would say that's probably the last game that I fully watched you play, and I've seen you play Mass Effect
Mm.
here and there, and I'll ask you like, who's that blue lady? Are they in
Yeah.
love? Are they gonna do it?
What's going on?
And like I have massive questions for Mass Effect, but
Yeah,
yeah,
Mass
Mass.
Effect.
But like I feel and I know that's one of the games that you get to choose certain things to say
I
and
think
like
you would like that game in a
I
certain
don't
in a
know.
certain stance of like you create the story that you want. You create your character, sim style. You create your character and you basically choose your own adventure
Yeah.
style book. Do you want to save this race or do you want to save this race? Do you want to romance this person or romance another person? And it could be alien, human, boy, girl, whoever you want. That's how Mass Effect works. And I'm now on the third one, about to finish it. And I know you've seen a couple things, and I told you kind of like the plot of the first one, but I think that's a game that you would kind of like, or at least if you got invested at the beginning, if you saw me play from the beginning, you will like it as well.
Maybe. I don't know. I don't know. I think
Unless
to
you just like Naughty Dog games,
I
like
mean Crash
Uncharted.
Bandicoot.
Yeah, Crash Bandicoot.
But I mean I try to watch my sister play Uncharted. What was it? 4? Was it 4?
No,
Or
I
2?
don't know which one
I
she
don't
was playing.
remember
I think
which one
she
it
should
was.
have been playing the first one.
No, she wasn't playing the first one.
Then she was playing it wrong.
Oh, well. Well, but I mean, I tried to watch her play that and I just could not get into it. And then, like, I don't know. I don't normally like the games that have, like, heavy storylines. I don't know why. I think it's an attention thing. Like,
Hmm.
if you don't have my attention, you're gone. Like,
Yeah.
it just really is that way. So, yeah. I mean, Last of Us Part 2 was the only game that I could actually sit through and, like, watch. Uh, but then other games like we play here and there. I mean, I try to watch you play Halo Infinite, and I'd ask you questions about it, like, "Hey, is it a good game?" And you're like, "It's awesome. It's totally wicked." But we recently got into It Takes Two,
Oh yeah.
and that's really because of my sister and her boyfriend.
Hmm.
Which shout out to noobs. But
She got all jealous because I told her, "Oh, we didn't pay anything because it's on Game Pass." And she's like, "Whatever."
yeah, I know. But I would say too for my sister, she didn't get back into gaming until you came back into our lives, and so um, yeah, now I mean, her and her boyfriend play It Takes Two, and I think they said they have like maybe 2 more chapters or
Yeah,
like
we were trying to beat them
parts.
before.
Yeah, and we got into it like this weekend.
Yeah, on Friday. I
Friday,
think
yeah,
we played.
Friday. And I mean, we made it pretty far. The first day of playing it, that my sister was like, "Yeah, you
She
guys
was
went pretty
surprised.
far."
So like, we only finished one chapter, but you guys did 3 chapters. I was like, oh, "When are you guys gonna stop?"
I mean, if it was up
It
to
went pretty
me,
quickly
we
though.
would have pushed through even
Yeah.
more. But yeah, I mean, I'm totally determined to beat them before they finish
Hmm.
it, like 100%. But I mean, playing It Takes Two reminded me a lot of when we played Cuphead. Not so much like, I mean, Cupheady and
The
the
difficulty.
difficulty, but um, the fact that we literally it literally takes 2 people to play it and
Hmm.
like get through certain obstacles or puzzles or just little things here and there, or like figuring things out. I really like that about it. But yeah, I mean,
Which we kind of did also with Untitled Goose Game, if you remember.
oh my god, See, sometimes I just block things out of my memory and just like forget that I play these games. But
And we finished it together. It
well,
wasn't a
I
two-player
mean,
game.
we found out about. I found out. Let me clarify. I found out about that game at the Game Awards when we
Mm-hmm.
went that one year. And I was like, what is this goose game? Like, why is there a game about a goose? And you were like, oh, it's kind of popular. And I'm like,
Yeah.
why? Like, I was so fascinated. Like, why? And we played it.
Oh yeah, I was like, you know what? It's on Game Pass. Let me download it, and we enjoyed it. It was so weird, just honk honk, like just you're a goose, and your sole mission is just to cause havoc on these humans. And I would be like, I'd kill that goose.
Oh,
If I was that farmer, if I was that dude just minding his own business, I'm sorry,
dang.
we having fried goose, Peking
Oh,
goose.
oh, no. No.
But
No.
yeah, I like It Takes Two. We even talked about getting into A Way Out, which is his first game.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
So
I mean, I didn't really know about him until you told me, and like
about
his
the Game
most
Awards
iconic, yeah, like
at the
saying,
Oscars,
yeah,
yeah,
and then like seeing him this previous Game Awards, and It Takes Two won Game of the
it
Year,
won Game
right?
of the Year.
I mean, I could see. I mean, based off what we've played so far, I could see why.
I can see why it was nominated. I can see why it was in the talk of, hey, this is the best game of the year. I mean, I played Resident Evil 8, Metroid Dread, Monster Hunter Village, Halo Infinite. I would put some of those higher up, but
Hmm.
so far, I mean, we haven't finished it, so who knows how it
Right.
ends?
I mean,
We don't know how it ends, so right now it's good. It's fun.
hmm,
I like solving the puzzles with you and um, the mini games that I still beat.
I know. I have no fighting chance. Like at midpoint, I'm just like, yeah, you won, whatever.
But yeah, it's a good game. It's
Yeah.
a really good game.
Yeah, so that's what we're playing right now. And I don't know, once we finish that, I was
I'll find another
I
game.
was like jokingly like, "Oh, we'll play Cuphead the third time."
Yeah.
But yeah. Those are my game picks and stuff.
Okay, gamer. Okay, gamer. And that sound is our time for the boss pick of the week. And since I have a special guest this week, Lady Quack, it's her turn.
Dun dun dun. No,
It's her choice of the week. And what boss did you pick for this week?
Oh, out of all the games that I played in the world, I'm just kidding. My boss pick would be the Grim Matchstick from Cuphead. I mean, I had an array of kind of like a list of different bosses that I wanted to pick, but I think because this is me and you,
Mm-hmm.
I wanted to pick this one because we struggle busted through, and we played the other bosses, and we would struggle, but like not like playing this dragon from friggin' Cuphead. Like it was difficult.
This one almost broke me.
I've never seen you so frustrated and like, oh, like we just gotta get through it. We gotta get through it, and we would like play all night
Mm-hmm.
and not beat it. And you're just like, let's just call it a night. And I'm like, no, let's keep pushing. Let's push through this because we're gonna beat this. And it would be like a couple nights where we would just like keep playing and we could not beat it for the life of us. And I know when you have two people, it like ups the difficulty a bit because the life of the boss is a little bit longer, which I didn't know until you told me.
Mm-hmm.
But yeah, I mean that random fire, like those damn little flames and
The
the
clouds.
damn clouds, and like I don't know. maybe it's my ADHD and like I can't focus when there's like a whole crap load of things coming at you at once, and I'm like, do I focus on this head or this head? Like, like I start freaking out. And I mean, how did you feel about it?
I felt like we had no winning strategy
No,
because
we didn't.
we set up a strategy, right? We make like, okay, this is what we're gonna do this time. This is how we're gonna beat them, and this is our change. And I think I changed weapons like 3 times. There was one where if I'm looking opposite of him, I'm doing double damage because they kind of like boomerangs back, and if it hits the boss, it does double damage. But it would do slow damage because it would take so long just to get the hit that I'm like, man, what do I do? So I switched over to the red shotgun, weapons, and it just there was so many different avenues of tackling this boss that nothing worked, and it seemed like nothing was gonna work because you could have a good run, right? A good run was like we didn't get hit until the final phase.
I know.
That was a super good run, and then like hit after hit after hit, we get knocked out until we die. And it was always like a thing. You would always scream out like, "Don't save me! Don't save me!"
Oh
But
yeah,
I
you'd be like, leave
needed,
me behind.
but I needed you. I needed you to beat the boss, and I liked that aspect of it was Cuphead and Mugman
Yeah, but
beating
I
him.
know, but you would go like extra and trying to save me. Like you would be on one cloud and I was on the totally opposite side of
And I
another
would
cloud,
do it.
and I would like die, float away, and you'd be like trying to get to me, and I'm like, just let me die, just let me go,
And you'd
say,
hear you'd,
win for us.
you'd hear the thank you.
Yeah,
Uh, yeah, this boss was I think the first time that I felt like, damn, this is where we stop. This is where we may not beat this boss just because of how random the cloud, layout was and his different attacks. It just I didn't know how we were gonna beat him, but we beat him, and I felt after that I felt like, okay, we can beat this game, and it felt like all the other bosses, they may have been annoying at times, but we got them out. We didn't have that much of a struggle compared to this, three-headed green dragon. But this is an awesome pick because I remember, just countless hours and lifespan, and sometimes, the worst ones. If we get hit in the first phase, okay, we're not gonna beat this one. You
I
know.
know you would. Okay, so the weird thing is like you would weirdly give up so easily,
Mm-hmm.
and I was the one like, no, we gotta push through this, like we have to beat this, like we cannot let this win. And as terrible as I was, like constantly dying and like you constantly bringing me back to life, I mean when we freaking knocked that thing out, I
It
mean we
was.
freaking celebrated like no.
I think we went to In and Out or something. I'm like, let's go get some burgers.
But like it felt so liberating to pass that point because it
Mhm.
was like, oh, I never have to do this again. And like we played it a second time,
When
and
it came out on PlayStation.
yeah, and it wasn't as difficult as playing it the first time because I think we knew what to expect and like, okay, this is gonna give us a hard time. But I mean, I would say this one definitely tested us like
Mm-hmm.
hardcore on like whether we're gonna finish this game or not. And like you mentioned before, obviously all the other Cuphead bosses, I mean, they're not. Maybe for some are a walk in the park, but I mean, some were easier than others.
Yeah,
And although this wasn't like the final boss, which is like the devil and stuff, but like
it felt like
I
it.
mean, I feel like we spent more time trying to beat this one than we did the final boss. Like
Mm-hmm.
really, um, I don't. Yeah, it was hard as shit. It was hard
There you
for
go.
us. It was hard.
There's
You
your
heard it
review.
here first.
Hard as shit.
But like, yeah, it was definitely a struggle the first time, and then yeah, it was the damn dragon. I'll never forget you.
Well, thank you everyone to joining us on this 23rd episode, this very special episode with Lady Quack, my fiance. We will be, tying the knot next week, but, this is something that we kind of have been talking about for a long time, even before the podcast started. Maybe one day just doing an episode, maybe doing some talk between us and just showing like where, or specifically where she came from with gaming and how we connected. And I'm very happy that we were able to do this episode. um, I love talking about classics and how people got into gaming and their gaming experiences. And when I started talking to her, she would tell me like, I'm not a gamer, but then she would show me like all these games, PlayStation, her collection. I'm like, you're a gamer, you are a gamer, but that's okay. You'll see it soon. And yeah, really excited for what's coming for both of us very soon. Uh, our next episode, we don't know what it will be yet. I'm thinking it may be Game of the Year for 2021. So look for that, for those updates. And yeah, thank you again for getting this far.
Yeah, and thank you for like allowing me to be on this. I know I was really resistant at first,
Mhm.
and like you mentioned, we talked about it, and I was like, eh. I don't think that's gonna happen just because I don't want to mess up the flow of what you and Jesse have. Like, I absolutely love listening to you guys, and I think the flow that you have is just perfect. But I know he was kind of busy, and he kind of asked me like, "Hey, do you mind doing us a favor and like doing an episode with us?" And I was like, ugh, "Do I absolutely have to?" And you're like, "Well, it'd be really helpful to me." So obviously, I care about you a lot, so I would do it. But I mean, I hope if you've heard everything, I didn't bore you to death, or like just I hope you enjoyed what you heard today and like my experience with gaming. And although it's not as extensive as like maybe Josh and Jesse's, but uh, I'm a little gamer,
There you
a
go.
little gamer on the side, but but like yeah, this was really fun. Like this was fun, surprisingly fun for me.
That's cool. Well, let us know in the comment section or at me on Twitter that you can find me at McQuack306. Let me know if there was a video game that caught you off guard that Lady Quack actually played. If you actually knew the haunting of, what is it?
The haunting of the poltergeist.
The haunting of the poltergeist. If you've actually played that game, let us know. Or if you played Dark Watch or any of those games that we mentioned today, let us know.
Oh, haunting starring the poltergeist. My bad.
Oh, haunting starring the poltergeist. Her bad. Yeah, let us know. And I actually really loved doing this episode. This was really, really cool.
Yeah, it was really cool and fun.
All right. Well, that was episode 23, and we'll see you guys on the next episode. Later, guys.
Bye, everyone.